Hey, what is up everyone? I hope you're all having a wonderful time. Today we will go over all you need to know about my version of the Poison Animate Weapon build in Path of Exile. And this build is a very good one because you won't need to have any uniques for it to work, except for the Unite in Dream sword if you are planning on going with the Poison build right away. But it has quite a bit of other uniques that you can benefit from, but it's not required to get this build started. And even without the weapon, it's no problem starting Animate Weapon, but I thought I'd mention it because we are going to focus on the poison aspect of this build. It also won't be any struggle to be able to get 2 tier 16 red maps without any problem. I use this as my league starter for the Lake of Calandra League and been very happy with it so far. The only annoying thing pretty much is that you have to resummon all of the weapons every time you enter a new area or a new map, but you do get used to it quite fast. Also, just joy of seeing the bosses melt is a great trade-off in my opinion. Spent a total of around 6 divines for all my gear, and they might be lowered now once I made this video, so if you're poor like me, this will be a great build to start with. And if you got any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them as soon as I can. I recently made a leveling guide for this build, so I do recommend you check it out if you are new to the game maybe, or just interested in some new ways of leveling. It got overall basic tips when starting out at a new league and when to get certain skills, how to work and things along that way. And before we start, just a quick reminder to like and subscribe to the channel to show your support. And with that said, let's jump into it. So let's start with how the build is working. So Animate Weapon have been around for quite a while and can be played in many different ways. And we are focusing on the poison for this build. By using the unique sword Unite in Dreams, we'll give our minions 6% chance to poison enemies, and also with a poison support gem, make it so our minions have 100% chance to poison enemies on hit. And this scales by dealing physical and chaos damage, so having as much as we can is our main goal here. We can spawn weapons by using Bladefall, and then we can use our Animate Weapon skill on these spawned weapons to get our army of minions. And other than that, you do pretty much as any other mini build out there. We're using offerings to boost our damage or defense, and we're also using conviction to spawn our minions to us and just enjoy the ride of seeing everything dies around us. So let's go over our skills here, and let's start with our main ability. And here we are using Animate Weapon, and I just want to start by mentioning that having a blue, green, red, it would be the optional way of the colors, but the chance of obtaining it with this base is quite low, so I'm using the next best thing. So we are using Animate Weapon with minion damage support, unbound elements, chance to poison, minion speed, and also melee splash support. And I'm using minion speed here because it do help out with the clear speed while mapping. And other than that, you could just go and throw in a predator support instead if you want to go for bossing, for instance, to help with that. Next up, we have a Summon Stone Golem here with Feeding Frenzy, so we get that buff. We are using Spell Cascade with our Bladefall, so we can spawn our weapons. We have Spell Totem with Wither, helps with the poison dots on enemies. We are using Despair, and we have one free spot here, and I'm using Increased Area of Effect. You can also, like, if you want to use a portal here, would be an option as well. Here we want to have Bone Offering, and we also want Flame Dash for mobility, and Conviction to spawn our minions to us. We have Defiance Banner for some armor, Desecrate to spawn corpses. We are using Determination for even more armor, and we're also using Tempest Shield or the chance to block spells. And for the shield, we are having Minion life support with Ray Spectres, and lastly also Animate Guardian. And for our skill tree, here it is. I will put a link to the POB so you can check it out more for yourself if you want to. But I want to clarify a couple of things here. So first of all, we are using corruption here as our anointment on our amulet, and this is increasing the effect of wither. Another thing is up here, Eldritch Battery. This makes it so spells use energy shield before mana, and it's just a huge quality of life. Makes it so we can reserve all our mana and not have to worry anything about that. And we're also using Glancing Blow, and this is to cap our block chance for both attacks and spells. And this was also the next thing that I was trying to do for this build, making us capped without having to use Glancing Blow, but it's nice to have it, and especially early on. We do have 2 block nodes quite close by. We have one over here with the elemental resist, got some block here, more block there, and up here we also have this wheel here for even more block spell. So I think it should be possible to do it. I just haven't been able to try it out properly yet. And we could also use a Rumi's Concoction, a unique flask here, which provides even more block chance to both attacks and spells. And this would be the next step for this build, but I just haven't been able to get there yet. And for our Ascendancy, we are going with the Necromancer, and here we want to start with Commander of Darkness. For some attack and cost speed from our auras, we got some increased damage and also 30% to elemental resistance, and this applies to both us and our minions. Really awesome to start with. The next one that we want to go for is Mistress of Sacrifice, and this makes it so our offerings also affect us with a 50% reduction effect. And the reason I take this before the Mindless Aggression is because of the movement speed that we get when we are using Flesh Offering while we do level up this character, and that's pretty much it. But other than that, for the third one, Mindless Aggression for some movement speed, damage, attack, and cost speed for our minions. And for the last one is going to be Bone Barrier, and this is really good for us, providing a lot of defensive perks, and also grants us the Bone Armor skill, which helps absorb some more damage. For the Bandits, we want to kill them all for the 2 extra skill points that it will provide. And for the Pantheons, we are using Soul of the Brine King, so we cannot get stun locked, and also we cannot get frozen. And the block recovery helps a bit, and as well as a reduction effect of chill. Some would say that having the Soul of Lunar is the way to go, but I do prefer having freeze immunity rather than the perks that provides from having Soul of Lunaris. And from the lesser, we are using Soul of Gruthkul for just the more physical damage reduction. Alright, let's go over our gear real quick here. So let's start with the unique ones. And first that we are using is the weapon that we mentioned at the start, and it's called United in Dreams. And this provides a lot of great stats for our minions, but most importantly makes it so we get 60% chance to poison. We also gain a level 25 Avery skill, which provides additional chaos damage to our minions. And this is giving us around 200 to 290 flat dead damage. And the next one is called the Covenant, and this has been quite a popular body armor after the changes in the Lake of Calandra League. And this makes it so we get a level 29 added chaos damage support to our animate weapons, making it also a 7-link. And the level 29 added chaos damage is roughly equals to 440 to 660 flat chaos damage added to our minion. A huge boost to this build. We also gain some percentage life here as well, which is very nice. And the last row we don't really need to worry about, because we are using this with our minions. And the third one that we are using is going to be the Magna Eclipse Shield. And this, in my opinion, is a very underrated shield that has so much defensive layers. First of all, you gain a huge amount of armor, which is awesome. You get +2, 2 levels of socketed gems, so it's great to put your Spectres and Animate Guardian here for the +2. You also gain a level 20 Elemental Aegis buff, which makes it so we gain an extra shield, so we can take up to 1000 elemental damage. And yeah, really awesome. And lastly, just having that extra life there as well. Very nice shield with a lot of defensive layers. We're also using a jewel called Venomous Gaze, which provide damage over time multiplier to our minions. Per ghastly eye jewel affecting us up to a maximum of 30%. And this is scaling our poison quite a bit. We're also using a couple other jewels here up by our cluster. And the first one that we are using is the Fortress Covenant, giving us our minion more damage and also block chance. And the other one that we are using is called Quicken Covenant for more attack and cast speed, and also providing our minions with some spell suppression. Really awesome thing here. And the great thing about having these in the cluster slots here is that you don't get the negative effects from these jewels. And the rest of the gear has been self-made pretty much, except for the rare jewels, which I will talk a little bit about in just a sec. But if you are interested in how I made these items, I got a couple of videos that you can check out on later on. So let's go over them real quick. So first up, we got the helm here, just plus to all minion skills. We got some strength here for some stats, and just general resist and also life. For our amulet, we are using just some added attributes, and obviously the +1 there, and also life. For the rings, nothing crazy, go for just resistance, as much life as you can, and if you can fit in, go with some more attributes. I got this glow ring here with some dexterity, minion, increased damage and attack and cast speed, and also life. And with this leg you have a couple of choices here, but you could go with the all resist bases as well here for minions. You have quite a bit things that you can play around with here, but I chose to go with these. And this glow ring also having it in our left slot here, making it so minion take reduced damage. And this is very good for our Spectres, our Golem, and also Animate Guardian. We don't really need this for our weapons, but it helps out. We're going with these gloves here, just to get some life on there, just some resist. We got the minion deal increased damage, and for our belt, armor, life, chaos resist, nothing crazy here. And for our boots here, just some more movement speed. I got some spell suppression here, not required, but it obviously helps out. If you could max it out, obviously, and just try to get some more life. Got some fire resist here, and also chaos resist. And for our jewels here, so we are using the Ghastly Eye jewels. And this is so we can get the full effect from the Venomous Gaze jewel. And a deal here, you would want to have max life, minion deal increased damage if you used a medium skill recently, and also added flat chaos damage or flat physical damage to minions. The problem here is that these cost quite a lot, and yeah, so this is what I went and got instead. If you are going for a little bit more of a budget route. So if you can get like 2 of these stats that I just mentioned, that will be great. And I also got 2 games such as this. So we have one that have the chance to taunt on hit. I think these help a little bit. These have increased damage if you are using mini skill and added physical. We have another one. Let's see over here. As you see here, increased damage there with some added physical. And also this one. So we got some life added physical damage. And here we also have the chance to blind and also hindered. And I do think that these adds up a little bit at least. Especially the hindered there, reducing move speed if they are hitting enemies. Stuff like that helps just with the defensive layers while playing. So I do recommend you get at least one with the taunt and also one with the hinder at least. And we're also using a large cluster jewel here for this build. And I tried to get one with 8 passives to start with to save up some points. I went and got the Feasting Feints here for just some more life and damage, but also the Leash there I do think adds up with survivability of our minions. And we're also having Vicious Bite for some increased crit chance and multiplier as well. For our flask we are using a Health Flask, we are using a Basalt for some more armor, we have a Granite for even more armor. And here you could then use to pick the Unique Flask Rumi's Concoction for some more block chance. But as of now, we are using Glancing Blow, so we do not need that one. We also have the Quicksilver here with some more movement speed. And also a Silver Flask for even more movement speed. And the good thing with the Silver Flask is that we also gain some attack and cost speed from here as well. And this helps out when we are having to resummon or animate weapons when we are going into new maps. And before we wrap up this video, let's quickly go over our Animate Guardian setup. And here we are going with the most basic setup you could imagine, pretty much with all the items cost only 1 Chaos Orb, pretty much. But yeah, let's go over it real quick here. And first here we got the Leer Cast for our helmet, providing nearby allies with a 50% increase to damage. So in this case it will apply to our minions. Next we are using Southbound Gloves to give our Animate Guardian 15% increased life. For body armor we have Sandrith Cascock for some more chaos resist and also chance to create consecrated ground when the Animate Guardian block, which is pretty much all the time. And when affected by it, it will regen a additional 5% of their maximum life per second when they are standing on it. And this will provide the life regen for every minion that stands in it. It's really awesome survival layers there. We also have Dying Breath, which is another one providing some increased damage to our minions and also boosting the effect of our auras as well. And for the boots I went with the Blood Dance, and this only gave our Animate Guardian some extra life regen per frenzy charges. So yeah, it helps keeping it alive a little bit better. But another item would just be a normal rare boots with some lacking resist, like more elemental or chaos resist to our Animate Guardian. But this was my very simple setup. You have quite a bit that you could go with here to maximize your gains. There are quite a bit of combos that you can do, but I would just like to mention another useful weapon called Kingsmaker. And this is pretty much always the end goal to have on any minion build for all the great buffs that you receive from it. You get some rarity, you get calling, critical multi-strike, and you also gain Fortify, which is really good. But the prices can be quite expensive, and also just be aware that if your Animate Guardian dies with it, they lose all their gear as well. So having a max level gem with maybe some extra gear with defensive layers might be a good way to have before you decide to use it. And for our Spectres we are using a Arena Master to boost our minions, and also a Silverback to give our minions some frenzy charges. And for the Arena Master there, just go to the channel 666 and ask quite a bit of helpful people there that will help you out if you do have trouble of obtaining him. The Silverback, on the other hand, just go to Act 2, and here you can get him very easy. I hope you find this video helpful, and as I mentioned before, I got a couple videos on how I made some of my gear myself. If you are interested in going and check them out, link will be in the description. There are also a lot of potential with this build that I haven't got to try yet, but like having a setup with the Aegis Aurora Shield makes you pretty much immortal while mapping, or going with a full crit route of the build would be really awesome to try out. A lot of things to make with this build to make it better. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like the video and also subscribe to the channel to show your support. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!